Mr. Sebastian Gorka. He is a friend and advisor to the president and worked with him throughout the 2016 campaign, and he is an appointee on defense education issues. Good morning, Seb.
Good morning. Thanks for having me, guys.
So what's your read so far? Because right now, according to the AP, Trump is losing 213 to 238. Real Clear Politics has not counted Arizona yet, so they say that Trump is losing 214 to 227. But the electoral map, it's not right now in Trump's favor, but it is certainly way more in his favor than the polls were suggesting before.
Well, it's a very simple question for all Americans. Do we live in the world's biggest banana republic or not? Before I came on the show, I tweeted out a very simple statement. We call it election day, not election days, not election weeks, and definitely not election month. People expect and should be able to expect that they know who won the election on the day of the election. And the fact that the president is leading in Pennsylvania, in North Carolina, in Michigan, and Georgia is the real problem, because how long will he be leading? Will we see, as just happened a few hours ago in a certain district, magically 114,000 ballots are found, and they just happen to be for Joe Biden? This is a threat to the integrity of our most sacred political structure in America. It's not the balance of power. It's not the checks and balances. It's not the Supreme Court versus the legislature of the executive. It's the idea that I, as an American, can go into a polling station, secretly choose who I wish to be the chief executive, and that decision will be reflected on the day of the election. It's not. And Americans should be very, very worried right now.
Good morning, Sebastian. This is Karen Alston. And I have a question about the polls. So for weeks, Democrats have been touting Joe Biden's lead in the polls, that it was double digits in some states. How could the pollsters have gotten this so wrong?
Well, number one, there's the technical aspect. Since the last election, none of the leading, look, I trust one guy. I trust Scott Rasmussen. Trafalgar's not bad. But none of the leading pollsters, it doesn't matter who it is, Gallup or anybody else, significantly altered, modified, or improved the methodology of their polling after the disastrous failure of 2016, where we had been assured for months and months and months that Hillary has it in the bag. The New York Times told us in October of 2016 she has a 91% chance of winning. There was no self-reflection. There's no correction. On top of that, I think it's pretty clear that there's evidence that these aren't political polls. These are suppression polls. These are ways to intimidate or get conservative voters to think that the president is losing before one ballot has even been cast. You're right. What have we been told for months now? Oh, it's going to be a sweep for Biden. And by 10 o'clock, it's over for the president. It's going to be such a tsunami for the Democrats that everything is going to be turned blue, and Biden will be able to come out at 10 p.m. That didn't happen, again, because the pollsters failed, or the pollsters deliberately distorted what they were hearing from the American people.
Seb, do you think that the pollsters in particular, do you think it has more to do with Trump and what an unprecedented person that he is? Because in 2018, the polls were a lot more accurate compared to 2016 and 2020. But in 2018, Trump was actually not running. Do you think that there is just this, in particular, they can't pin him down?
Well, there's two things. I think TDS is no longer a joke. I think Trump derangement syndrome exists. It's real, and it is reflected by the people who run these companies, who actually do the polling. So I think, yes, there's political bias. And on top of that, there's also the fact that if you look at Cato is, America's libertarian think tank, not exactly big fans of the president. And a few months ago, they published a poll in which they found that more than 60% of Americans, especially conservatives, are uncomfortable publicly talking about their political identity, especially if they support the president. So there's this whole cancel culture. I mean, look at the Covington Catholic school kids. If you wear a red MAGA hat in the Capitol, you're going to be abused verbally. You're going to be called a racist. This is the creation of the left. So there's bias in the polls, absolutely. And on top of that, if I'm a Trump supporter, why the hell should I tell you I'm voting for President Trump?
So, Seb, last question while we have you. And again, we appreciate you waking up this morning with us. In terms of the path forward, what is your estimate? Do you think the president is going to win? And what do you think the count's going to be?
It's down to one thing and one thing only. The GOP, the campaign, the president's attorneys have to deploy now. They have to make sure that no more magic ballots for Biden appear in the 4 states that the president is currently leading in. If the president maintains that lead, if we count the votes as quickly as possible, if he maintains that lead, he is re-elected. But it is not election week, it's not election month, it's election day. So check out my website, sebgorka.com, and thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you,
Thank
Sebastian
you.
Gorka. We appreciate it.